All right, we're gonna have a quick look at some of the next generation aircraft. They're quite small as well, um, but I did some of these are old refurbishments that kind of had a breadboard and deco upgrade pass, and some of these are brand new craft that I made recently, and they're part of my second generation aircraft. Yeah, and they all have some funny complex behavior, which is why we're looking at them. Um, yeah, so here's the 20K third generation basic fighter with missile and particle cannons for AA duty. Um, it's called the Pixy Waltz, and aesthetically is based on the concept art for the new American next generation fighter concept art. Here's a kind of a cool looking ground attack aircraft with a big underslung turret. Um, it does kind of have a little bit of a weird aerodynamic behavior. The guns have some issues, but it looks nice and sometimes it functions properly. Here's a larger version with the guns spread out all around, which does mean some of the guns can get damaged fairly easily, but at 80K, it does do its job decently well most of the time. And it's very fun to look at. So these two ground attack aircraft, they're very nice looking, and they're some of my newer designs. And here's a refurbishment, a very simple concept, just like the ground missile launcher. It's got two kinetic missiles on the top and two explosive missiles on the bottom. They kind of launch at the same time, so um, and coming from somewhat two different directions, and the enemy have to choose which two to intercept, which means like some missiles always get through. Oh, and just have a look at the cost. This is 75K, 62 firepower. So just with the jet engines they have, it's not as efficient as a ground-based missile launcher. Okay, just looking at the Pixie Waltz fighter. Um, okay, ideally it should be able to kill these fighter squadron on its own, which is about twice the cost. The particle cannon again switches between EMP and impact, which can either vaporize or fry the enemy, um, and it switches based on a timer. It's very good flight characteristics and dodge missiles. So because it's very evasive, it missed. Has equal amount of thrust forward and backward, and when it's flying in either forward or backward direction, the opposing um, jets are switched to generating electricity to recharge the particle cannon. Um, yeah, so it's kind of an optimization thing where all the components on the craft are either doing one job or another. And that's a missile kill, and then we got one target left. Um, and of course, it's fully capable of flying backwards as well, and allowing to shoot the particle cannon while flying in the opposite direction. But the kind of the control for that needs to be very carefully tuned because it's not very good at dodging missiles while flying backwards. So ideally, yeah, that's a trade-off. Ideally, we want to maintain a good forward speed so we can maneuver well. And then yeah, it's got a landing sequence as well. If we turn off the AI, it will maintain stability and kind of drift low to the ground until it comes to a rest just above the ground. So yeah, there's a lot of tech packed into this craft. It has only three ion engines pointing down, but by vector thrusting those engines, it's able to strafe to the side and kind of yaw when it's hovering. um, just to get into a better position for docking, which is not really a gameplay mechanic, but I do enjoy having all those kind of things. Right here, let's have a look at the anti-ground aircraft. Um, I didn't give it a custom breadboard. I kind of gave it the normal anti-ground AI, and then have it breadboard tuned to um, kind of evade on its attack run. So sometimes I know that I have trouble just pointing all the way down and firing. Oh, okay, now it's working. So yeah, that's a burst gun in a turret just to give it a better chance of firing and aiming at the enemy. And then this particular gun, have a reload cycle of, I believe it should be 40 seconds, although it looks like it didn't fire off its shells for some reason. But yeah, that's a Hesh blaster. Let's see if this gun has fired off his runs. If you go here, if you look at the loader, should say 40 seconds to reload, so that's how long it takes to reload all these charges. There's no ejectors, but once you fire all the bullets, hopefully this turret becomes inert until everything is loaded again, and you want to fire as quickly as possible so it doesn't become a bomb inside your craft. Here's the cockpit. This is a view. Yeah, quite an interesting plane. I really like it. You can also do anti-air, very in a very limited way, but I think in theory it can. I set up the breadboard to give these railguns a high draw, high velocity, and low fire rate option, and will attempt to close in. But I think the AI isn't tuned enough for that kind of shell speed. Um, so even though in theory it can hit other aircraft, it doesn't quite do that very well. Um, here's a laser, which is a laser designator. It's a no damage laser that kind of just point at the enemy and tell you, uh, shows you where it's trying to shoot. All right, here's a larger version of the gun bomber. Hopefully, it won't have a disappointing show. Oh yeah, there you go, firing all four guns, five. Let's see how much damage the Scarab took. Well, at least all the heavy missiles are destroyed, so you can see almost 8 all the way through the turret. Um, there is kind of a similar craft uh, in Glau that fires straight down, but that is much more efficient at doing the job than my design. Unfortunately, oh, there you go. So this Scarab has been almost destroyed, but it's got a huge hole missing from the side. So it's pretty effective. It's not as effective as uh, a ship with just the bottom covered with downward facing guns, but um, it has a decent ability to do anti-air operations. So I'm just gonna refill all the APS shells and kind of show you. Hopefully it doesn't disappoint. Okay, what you're gonna do? There you go. One down. So it switches from burst fire to continuous fire. Oh, there you go. That's another one. Imagine being just a small fighter jet and being hit by a 200 millimeter railgun hash. Oh, it's very satisfying when it hits. Definitely not its intended role, but basically just wanted to not be defenseless against that type of aircraft. Fire, fire. Oh, missed opportunity. Oh, yeah. So you can imagine. At first, I designed the whole aircraft around this one turret here. But I spent an exorbitant amount of cost on the flight model. It doesn't do quite exactly what I wanted to do. And being frustrated, I just took guns off of one of my mechs and duct taped it on the side. It looked really nice and it worked decently well. The guns, just because how effective it is at decapitating the enemy, um, the guns tend to survive long enough to for the craft to do its job. Um, so yeah, it's a bit jank, but it works. So I'm loving it. And um the name of this gunship is Enfilade Diplomacy. Yeah, there you go. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next episode.